What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to talk about risk, in this case, risk tolerance in cards. I think this is a very important topic to at least try to put in perspective the different types of risk in the market. In general, cards are high risk, high reward investment, but a lot of people, for some reason, don't think about this. That being said, before I start the video, please give it a like, I would say, because I put a lot of effort doing this type of videos, and if you can, in the end, support me that way, I would be very happy with that. Apart from that, I actually updated all my videos on this channel. Right now, if you check the description on any video, it's particularly on this one, for example, you can find my email, my Instagram, my Patreon, my eBay link. I mean, all the stuff. Because a lot of times I was not doing this, and I think putting all my information is very important, especially because I'm always open to talk with you via Instagram DMs or via email. You can understand that there is some delay sometimes, but I'm totally open to talk with anyone. So if you have any question, again, send to my email, send a DM on my Instagram. A DM on my Instagram probably is more fast, and if I have time, I would probably answer your question. One thing in mind, I don't like questions like this: should I buy this card or that? Because in the end, that's your money. I can help you with other stuff other than that, okay? So, disclaimer: no financial advice. My opinions are just that, opinions. This channel is about soccer cards, but a lot of my views can be applied to other market. Price or pop can eventually be wrong at the time you see this video. Don't feel proud if you made money in this market. Everyone made. We had a super bullish market in the last year, but things change, and they change very quick. No one can predict the market, especially short term. Fundamentals are your best friend in the long run. I don't believe in timing the market. I believe time in the market. Keep in mind that I'm a collector first and an investor second. I look first at value instead of price. I share on description two links, my Patreon and my eBay affiliated link. Any of those end up helping the channel, so thank you for the support. English is not my main language. Any types or mispronunciations, I'm sorry. So, before I start the video, I like to do always this type of game with you, guess who, deal of the day. So, today I'm going to talk about a legendary player for one club in particular. Is an Italian player. When you look at his career, he's won World Cup, won Serie A, 2 Italian Cups, and 2 times Italian Player of the Year. But that being said, his resume don't tell you all the story about this player, because this player is an idol for a lot of people, idol for a lot of kids. And again, if you know the person I'm talking about, good for you. In that case, there is a link on the description. If you don't know, check the link on the description too, because you can find a deal for this card actually. By the way, this is the biggest idol for his club, and actually I would say one of the biggest idols in any club, okay? So, amazing player, legendary player, and a potentially good buy. So, before I start talking about different type of risk, this is something you guys need to understand, and I believe a lot of you guys understand. Look, risk versus reward is a super basic concept that you always need to put in perspective, okay? So, if you buy, let's say, a rookie card, that a player that no one knows, well, you can say that your money is not, you are not putting a lot of money, but that money have a lot of risk, okay? Because look, he's a player that can be a good player or not. Even if you are paying less, there is a good chance that you don't get any return, or you actually lose a lot of money, because that player can end up being a nobody. You know what I mean? So, understanding that, but of course you have a big reward, you know what I mean, if your prediction is correct. For example, let's say you buy a player from Portugal that no one knows, and that player ends up becoming, I know this is almost impossible, let's say that player ends up becoming GOAT stats level of player, like a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Lionel Messi. Well, you can see that, of course, your reward will be insane, especially when you put in perspective what you invested. But again, these type of plays are quite risky, and I don't think actually this is the best example. For me, the best example is players that are already good, and I would say, for example, a Greenwood, which is a very good player, but his cards, because a lot of people speculate on Greenwood cards, or at least more in the past, to be fair with you, but let's say for the video, a lot of people are speculating on Greenwood cards, and those cards are not even that cheap. So you have to invest, I would say, a good amount of money for the player you are buying, again, you can put in perspective. The guy is, I would say, 20 years old, something like that. So you can see that he can have a career with 10 or more years, and if he ends up becoming even not a good but a crazy good player, there is a good, if the market don't crash, of course, there is a good like scenario that you probably can get a good return. Again, but there is a lot of risk, because next season, or not next season, but 2 seasons from now, let's say next season is bad for Greenwood, and you can see Greenwood going for a Crystal Palace team, a Wolverhampton team. So, and at that time, your cards most likely will crash in price, and you have no reward, but because your risk was very high. But again, your reward could be actually amazing if Greenwood end up becoming a top level player. Okay, so this is just something that I know a lot of you guys, but putting these things out, I think, is important. So keep always in mind that high risk, high rewards, low risk, probably not all the time, but lower rewards. So now putting things outside of the card market, because I think this is the best way to start talking about this. So, for example, what is a low risk investment? In my opinion, keep in mind those things are relative, okay? But I'm talking about my experience. All of those three investments are investments I actually made. So, for example, I actually put money on a saving account. Well, there is a very slow type of, not even slow, but lower type of return. In my opinion, not even worth it most of the time, but I would say is a low risk investment. But again, my reward will not be that good, but at least I know that most likely my money will be safe on the bank in a saving account, okay? You can say there is exceptions for that. For example, if I have, for example, I believe in Portugal, if you have over 100k, if the bank go bankrupt, there is no protection from the country. So you actually lose your money on a saving account, which is crazy. But let's say if you have, let's say 20k, if the bank you have the money goes bankrupt, you still get the money back. Okay, so there is. I don't think it's that relevant to this video, but even on those cases, a saving account, there is risk on that. Some people don't think there is risk because, let's say, if you want to play with some type of odds, I would say there is no risk. But keep in mind that the risk is very low, but is still there. Okay, again, from country to country, these things can change. I'm talking about Portugal. Okay. But when you look at, I would say, a medium risk, for me is, for example, the stock market, especially buying individual stocks. For example, by the way, and I have to say this, there is stocks with much more risk than the others, okay? So, in my opinion, if you invest in a company like Samsung, Apple, well, I'm not saying there is no risk, because I believe there is a medium risk. Those companies, in the end, they actually can go down. Look, if you guys remember, Nokia was the biggest company on mobile phones, and look at Nokia now. Okay, so there is always risk, and again, you need to put in perspective all those things. But again, for example, if you invest in Samsung, I believe is a medium risk. I mean, I'm not saying it's a totally safe, but I think most of the time, to be fair, is right there. I think should be more right here, the risk, okay? But let's say a medium risk. The stock market, at least the way I assess the stock market, is more a medium risk, but sometimes you can get, since you are in a medium side, I would say, sometimes your return can be very good, but can be very bad too, in the sense that, for example, and now we enter in a different part, there is stocks that are very speculative. For example, I actually believe Tesla was very speculative, and is still very speculative. So for me, that's more in the high-end medium risk, at least, okay? To be fair, I actually think is high risk at this point, but again, not a conversation. Keep in mind, saving account, I would say low risk. Stock market, if you know the basic stuff, and you are picking at least companies with great reputation, I think medium risk is a fair statement. But if, for example, high risk, for example, is Bitcoin, okay? Because crypto market, I'm not saying I'm against crypto market by any means, because I actually believe a lot in the blockchain technology. But again, we need to be fair. It's a very high risk market. Look, I remember Bitcoin being 50k. and right now end up crashing almost 50%. So you can see this is a very, you can say, oh, but if you hold, most likely you'll end up getting your money back. Again, different conversation. You are probably right if you believe in the blockchain technology, but at least keep in mind that it's a high risk market, especially because look, if a market crashes 50% in 1 month, come on, that's a high risk market, okay? Well, that being said, even on the crypto side, there is what people call shit coins. On that case, is not if Bitcoin is right here, shitcoin is in the top, is in the end of the eye. I mean, it's crazy to invest. Actually, you can say, yeah, but if Elon Musk end up doing a tweet, I'm sorry, I will make crazy amounts of money. Yes, you are right, but if that never happens, in 1 month or sometimes even less, your coin is actually zero. So you actually can lose all your money. And you can apply this for example, gambling. Okay, gambling is the same type of logic. You can win very big, but you can lose drastically. Okay, so in that sense, keep that in mind that there is a lot of risk on those markets. So in general, and now I'm gonna go into cards. In general, cards are always high risk, high reward. In general, okay? You can say, that's not even true because if I buy, let's say, a MESSI 71B's PSA 10, I'm quite safe. Again, I understand your sentiment in the sense that if you believe a lot in the soccer card market and if you put in perspective that's one of the holy grails, I understand why you are saying that, but you are wrong. Okay? Look, putting money on a bank safe, on a saving account, that's low risk. Putting money on a MESSI 71B's, at least, I don't even believe what I'm saying, by the way, but at least put in perspective that is a medium risk. But in general, cars are a very speculative investment, okay? So, look, I know this is shocking because this is maybe shocking for a lot of you, but you cannot eat cars, right? Keep that you can say I cannot eat money, but you convert money into all the stores accept money, and if you go with your MESSI 7Bs, you need to find a buyer. If the market is down, I'm not saying you'll lose all a lot of money, but you can look. If you invest, let's say, I know this is not the price, but to make things very easy, let's say you invest $20 on the MESSI 7Bs, and the MESSI goes for $5, which is a very likely scenario, by the way. Crashing on cards, this type of crash is not that uncommon. Look, maybe you are okay at the start investing the $20, and that's the mindset, to be fair with you. But if you invested expecting let's say $25 and now you have $5, if you are not that financial okay, there is a problem right now. You can say, oh, but the person that buys a MESSI for the 200k most of the time is fine financial. Okay, again, different story, but the thing I'm trying to put in perspective, cars in general are high risk, high reward. In general, okay? You can say, oh, if you look at the Babe Ruth, I don't know the name of the card, to be fair, because it's not my market. But if you look at Babe Ruth, Pop 3 or Pop 4, if you look at the tracking of those cards, you can see they are doing quite well in the long run. I would agree with you, but again, look, we had COVID in the last year, okay, and a lot of people was not expecting that. I wish not, of course, but let's say there is another type of variant of COVID and things actually really go. I'm sorry, I touched the mic. Things actually go really, really down. You can say, oh, that in that case, not even my money is safe, and you are right again. But if your money is not safe, most likely your cards will follow the same trend. So there is again. Keep in mind that if you are investing in cards, invest things you can lose because you are investing in a super speculative investment. Okay, so putting your money in a banking saving account, you may not win a lot. To be fair, almost nothing at this point, but at least you know your money is there. Okay, if you put money in a stock card market, look, I'm sorry, I trust more on the Amazon stock than I trust in let's say, I want to give a good example. Let's say a Blue Eyes White Dragon, okay, first edition love. Okay, I trust more. You can say that's debatable, and I accept that. But for my mind, at least, for me being comfortable, you have to understand that those markets have way much history, and they have a financial, the support financial is much stronger on items like stocks, like banks, like mutual funds. There is a lot of stuff you guys need to put in perspective. Again, I understand cards are more fun, but in general, keep this in mind. Your money is in a high risk situation most of the time. Again, I'm saying most of the time because I actually agree with you in the sense that, yeah, if you buy a Babe Ruth, the market is so niche. I'm talking to the one with Pop 4 or something like that, or even let's say a card. To be fair, Babe Ruth is a good example. The market is so niche that those cards most likely is bought by millionaires all the time, so you don't care about the economy in general. I understand that. I'm talking about cards that most of us can afford, to be fair, at this point. Okay? So, okay, and now I'm gonna give you an example in soccer because I think this is the most important. Since my channel is about soccer, you can apply this if you are watching this and you don't collect soccer, you collect, let's say, NBA, even Pokemon. You can apply this very easily to your market. Okay, look, for example, I'm gonna give again, and I said this, and I'm going against myself in the sense that I said all the cards are high risk, high reward, and I still believe in that. But let's say in that high risk, high reward, let's open an exception and try to make some sense on risk, even on this side of the graph. And on the high risk, there is a couple of cards that are right there, and there are other cards that are right there. So to make things clear, let's assume there is cards that are low risk, but keep in mind everything is high risk on cards. Okay. So for example, if you can afford a Zinedine Zidane 91, PSA puts 92 because PSA don't understand anything in soccer. You guys know my opinion about that. But if you can afford the rookie Zidane, well, I think at least is a great investment. Again, low risk in the sense that, low risk, I need to make this clear. No low risk, especially in the long run, and putting in perspective that there's automatic high risk in the macro, okay? In the micro, let's say, low risk, because, I mean, one of the best players ever, pops for that card are quite low. I assume they will increase with the time, but I don't expect a lot because even finding them on the market, and that's one of the first signs you should look in a card, it's very difficult to find this sticker in good condition. It's almost impossible at this point. So it's fair to say this card is quite rare. At least condition rare seems like a good statement for a card like this, and the demand for this card will most of the time will be high in the sense that Zinedine Zidane was one of the best evers. If the European market starts getting more into cards, Zinedine Zidane is one of the most famous players in Europe. So I think this is a safe investment in the micro perspective now. Okay, in the macro everything is risky, but in that case I believe Zinedine Zidane is a great investment. Okay, but you can say, yeah, but will my card go, let's say, again, random price, $10, can I expect $20 next month? Well, most likely not. Okay, in a bull run everything is possible, to be fair with you, because we are talking always about high risk, high reward stuff on cards. But for example, on a card like this, most likely if the market is stable, the card will keep growing in my opinion. But I mean, maybe 20% in a year, which is crazy, to be fair. That's why I'm putting in perspective that we are in a high risk, high reward market, but like 20%, 10%. So you can assume that you are not getting rich overnight, to be fair, but you most likely in 10 years, for example, you actually have a very good return. And this is what you should expect in cards like this, in my opinion, okay? But for example, a medium risk, medium reward. Again, for me, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the first World Cup sticker, is a medium risk, because, and I'm going to explain why. Well, Ibrahimovic is very far from the Zinedine Zidane status. I mean, Zinedine's status is one of the GOATs. Zlatan is a legend, but is not GOAT level, in my opinion, and I believe most of the market agrees with that. And apart from this sticker is not as rare as the Zidane sticker. I mean, not even close. Because World Cup stickers end up having a crazy big production. You can say, oh, a lot of them are passing the album again. And I think that's a fair statement too. But in general, and if you go to eBay, you can still find them quite easy. So it's very easy to assume the pop for that card is already much higher than the pop for Zinedine Zidane, but you can expect that pop to go even higher, okay? It will be what, 1k, 2k, that I cannot tell you for sure, and that's my biggest debate right now with cards is I need more data from PSA, from BGS to have a better assessment on pops. Especially soccer is so new that understanding pops is something that a lot of people don't understand, and I'm actually on that boat at this point, to be fair. I have a better assessment than most of the market, but even myself I struggle a lot understanding rarity on soccer because, for example, Di Stefano rookie, I believe is through rarity, but maybe it's not. You know what I mean? I cannot tell you that for sure. Again, I made a video about this. You can check this on my YouTube channel. But I believe this card is a medium risk because the thing is, well, even if this card can potentially have an increase on population, a 2x, a 3x, or 4x, I still believe there will be demand for this card. And your entry point on this card, I mean, is not as expensive as the Zinedine Zidane. Again, logic, of course. So I think there is a good likely scenario. If the market keeps growing, a lot of people will be way more okay buying a rookie. It is not a rookie, but it's the first World Cup for Ibrahimovic than this card, because the price will be very, very high on this, and the market will be okay buying this. So the demand can actually be way bigger for a Zlatan Ibrahimovic sticker than for the Zinedine Zidane rookie. So maybe you can actually have a good return if you put all those things in perspective, because I can see a card like this doing, again, we need a more stable market or even a bull market, but I can see a card like this doing a 2x, 3x very easily, actually. And again, I'm not saying this is impossible, but I expect at least a slower growth. But again, we are talking about speculative market, so I can be totally wrong on this, because again, all those cards are high risk, high reward, even the Zidane, even the Ibrahimovic, okay? But again, if I put in perspective, I still believe this is, of course, much more risky than this one, but since your entry point is more affordable, and again, maybe the market will think like you, in that sense that I can still afford Ibrahimovic, and he's still an amazing player, so for me this is a medium risk, okay? Again, but now we go to the crazy stuff. For example, Marcus Rashford. Well, Marcus Rashford is a very famous player right now, and I'm putting Rashford, I can put Greenwood, Cavani, there is a lot of players, okay? Foden, Sancho, there is a lot of players. I'm picking Marcus Rashford because when you look at Rashford's career, he's not even that good, okay? I mean, he's 23 years old or 24, and you look, at one point a lot of people thought, yeah, Marcus Rashford will be a Ballon d'Or contender. Well, I believe most of the people don't believe that anymore at this point. Look, he's not even playing for England. On United this season is okay at best most of the time. And you can see a scenario that, let's say 1 year from now, 2 years from now, that this player can go actually to a smaller team like Everton, okay? And you can see that if you invest on cards, on these cards, I mean, I'm sorry, but there is a very, very high scenario that you can lose big. But again, there is the other side of the coin, okay? Let's say next season with a new coach or something like that, Rashford, or even a better team supporting him, Rashford actually have a season that scores more than 20 goals and more than 20 assists, and you can say, oh, look, in the end, Rashford can actually be Ballon d'Or contender. And look, if you bought cards at one point, let's say $10, there is a likely scenario that card can be $100, okay? So this is high risk, high reward at the best, okay? But what's the problem with this? Look, at least be okay accepting a loss. I mean, you need to be okay accepting a loss in all of those examples, but at least be okay accepting a loss on a card like this, because there is a very, very likely scenario that will happen, okay? Look, because the thing with Rashford, think about this. Look, Haaland is 20 years old and he's much better than him. I mean, I'm sorry, it's the reality. I know Haaland have a higher price, but it makes a lot of sense. Look, Mbappe is much better than this guy. So if you put in perspective, Rashford being a relevant player, at least a Ballon d'Or contender, seems very, very unlikely. Is it impossible? No, that is high risk, high reward. And then, again, you can put an example like this in a player from the French league that you know that seems very good, and you buy a lot of his rookies, and next season he's playing again in France, and your money is not paying out, or if you are probably in a loss. But again, you can be the opposite conversation on this side. You can say, oh, that player actually went to Manchester City and is now one of the key players for Manchester City, even if that player will not be Ballon d'Or contender, because that's very difficult. You still make a lot of money, most likely, because even with the transfer for a big club, there will always automatically be speculation on stuff like that. Okay, so I think this is very easy to understand, and this, again, for a lot of you guys, this video is nothing you don't know, but at least keep this in mind. Put always these things in perspective. Think always about this, the low risk, the high risk, the medium risk, because, and again, always knowing that everything is high risk in cards, in my opinion. Okay, so okay. To finish this conversation, I'm gonna talk about MESSI example, because I actually believe MESSI is a great example of low risk. Again, in a macro is high risk, as the Zidane, as the Cristiano Ronaldo mega cracks, doesn't matter. But let's say if you are investing in cars and if you want to at least have a lower risk, always assuming that you are in a very speculative market. Look, for example. There is actually a narrative going on Instagram sometimes. I'm not saying names, to be fair. I actually believe on YouTube I saw stuff like that some people said, yeah, but investing in MESSI is kind of boring. Look, MESSI cards are already at a good price. Stuff like that. Prices went down and people are saying, yeah, that makes sense. Look, let me say one thing. If you don't believe in MESSI cards, you don't believe in the market. Is very basic, to be fair with you. The reason, look, MESSI is one of the GOATs. I actually would say a big part of the market believes MESSI is the best player ever. You can disagree or not, but in the end, let's assume that's a very likely scenario, because it is. MESSI is one of the best ever, maybe the best ever. His rookies population, when you compare with Prism, they are very low. When you compare with even other stickers from Panini, is very low. And when you put, and population means a lot, but demand means much more, to be fair. So when you put in perspective the demand Lionel Messi can have, which will be at the top of the food chain. Look, again, that's why I say, if you don't believe in Messi rookies, you are not believing actually in the market. Oh, I don't believe in Messi rookies, but I believe in Haaland rookies. That honestly makes no sense, okay? Look, you can believe in both, and that will be acceptable. But believing in one and believing in another is just confirmation bias for your investment, okay? So that's why I put in the lower risk, because look, we are talking about one of the best players in history. We are talking about one of the most famous persons in the world, and in the end, population for those cards are quite low, in my opinion. Condition rarity is a very big thing, for example, for a card like 7-1-Bs or the Mundi Cromo. So if you don't believe in the market, makes sense not investing in Messi. But makes sense to leave the market too, okay? So keep this in mind, because there is a narrative that I don't understand. Look, this may sound very boring for you, but Lionel Messi rookies, in my opinion, again, I cannot give you financial advice, are still one of the best investments. You can say, but I like other players. Okay, and that's totally fine. Look, I collect Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, and I collect Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. But let's say Yu-Gi-Oh. Look, if I want if I want to be if I want to make my dollar be worth more than $1, I would say I should only invest probably on Blue Eyes or Dark Magicians. To be fair, most likely on Blue Eyes White Dragon, because I know that card will have a very different type of demand, and if you look at history, even on those cards, they will tend to perform better than most of the other cards, especially when you put in perspective the risk to go for a card like that, okay? But again, I collect all other cards from the anime. Well, the reason is simple. I like it. Okay, so I know it's not the smartest way thing to do, but I like it. For example, I have a couple. No, I have a lot. To be fair, I have a lot of Ronaldinhos. from mega cracks, from his time at PSG, and I think they are a great investment. Don't even get me wrong. But if you tell, oh, but if you put all that money in Messi rookies, do you think in the long run you can actually be making a better investment? I'm going to be honest. I think so. Okay, but I'm not doing. Look, I have totally honest with you. I have a lot of Messi rookies because I really believe he's one of the best investments. You can apply this to Cristiano Ronaldo, to Maradona rookies, to Pelé rookies. A lot of them have actually a bigger entry point, and that's thing I think you need to consider. And you can apply this to Zidane, stuff like that. But for example, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo being probably the most famous soccer players in the world right now, and in general will be very relevant for the next 20 or more years. So I think this is very fair to say. Again, investing in Lionel Messi rookies, if you can, of course, is a great investment. If you can't, look, maybe, and again, flip until you can, okay? Because I still believe this is one of the lowest risks in the market, and I actually believe because, as I said, this is a lower risk in a perspective that you are in a high risk, high reward market. But even this being a lower risk, I believe in this case the reward is a little bit different than a normal lower risk, let's say a saving account. Because since you are in a very speculative market, look, it's not impossible that you can make 2-3x on those cards in actually 1-2 years from now, okay? Because again, it will all, of course, depend if we have another bull run or not. But you guys understand this concept in the sense that you are in a super speculative market, and actually soccer is a very specific case because it's a market that is growing every day quite a lot, okay? So guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Conclusion is always the same: collect things you love, price is what you pay, and value is what you get, okay? Guys, give a like to the video, subscribe. Maybe this video was a little bit boring, since I know these type of topics are always a little more heavy, I would say, but I think is something that is not on the internet, especially on the soccer card market, and I think I can give you some type of value doing a video like this, okay? So guys, have a nice day, see you guys next video, and bye.